Hello everybody, welcome back to another edition of Rebooking 2009, my unfortunate favorite era of the WWE, as this is around the time I started watching. I grew up watching this, and 2010 has some of my earliest wrestling memories. So, and while I know there's a lot of shit from that era, I figured, why not rebook? I'm sure that's fun. That might be fun to some. Fuck if I know. Right now, storylines: Batista and Cena, Rhodes and Regal, Goldust, Morrison, Morella, and Miz, Carlito, Chavo, MVP and Primo, Drew, Shelton. We haven't started Henry and Sheamus yet, and we have Edge and Hardy. Do believe this for the world title, and I do believe this for the WWE Championship. So, I plan on getting to No Way Out, just 32 days away. And that will be the end of the episode. So, next day. Oh, it's Thursday. I should probably progress to Monday. I will see you then. In a 94 rated segment, CM Punk cuts a promo on Kane. It says here, CM Punk cuts a promo on Kane calling him out for a match tonight. He wants to make a further name for himself, so why not go after the big man himself? So, Kane comes out, agrees, and they have a match. CM Punk is the winner. His popularity goes up. I want to actually push Punk pretty high. I want to push him pretty high, if that makes sense. Then Kane ends up actually attacking Punk after the fact. They're now locked into a rivalry. Both of their popularity goes up a bit. 73 rated, I'll take that. Cody Rhodes is interviewed by Abraham Washington about William Regal and says that his New Year's resolution is to pretty much win the IC title. Then we have the Italian Film Committee taking on the FCW tag team / local talent of Alex Riley and Byron Saxton. And Santino gets the win. Then Miz and Morrison come out and start brawling with Santino and Goldust. Moving on, Stephanie tells Batista that Cena's healthy and that Batista has to find a tag partner tonight because it'll be in a tag match, and Cena will also have a mystery partner. Melina and Candice Michelle have a short little match. Rey Mysterio cuts a promo on Orton, saying that Orton attacked him last week, but nobody did anything about it, and was just bringing it to light. And then, in the main event, John Cena pins Chris Jericho in the tag match. His mystery opponent was Shawn Michaels, Batista's was Jericho, and it got 2 stars, 88%. Stars that don't matter, I'll still take that. But then Batista chases Cena, but this time he does not catch up. And that will be Raw. Good show. 80% show is great. And then the next show will be ECW and Smackdown. Oh yeah, Matt Hardy failed a drug test. So, that's great. I will see you for ECW and Smackdown. It's Christian making his debut here in ECW. He comes out and says that he's glad to be back here, misses ECW, miss being in the ring with the fans. However, Sheamus interrupts him and tells him he's old and doesn't need to be in the company anymore. Tiffany, the GM, comes out and says that their match will be a number 1 contenders for the ECW Championship, and whoever wins will face Mark Henry at the Royal Rumble. Moving on, we have Dreamer versus Bourne, where Bourne somehow defeats Tommy Dreamer. Finlay and Swagger then get into a brawl backstage, meaning they will probably have a match next week. Then we have The Miz and John Morrison versus SmackDown Tag Team Kurt Hawkins and Zack Ryder, in which The Miz gets the pin for the team. And then in their main event, Christian and Sheamus, 90 rated match. Sheamus, however, gets the win, as that means now Sheamus will face Mark Henry for the title at the Royal Rumble. 78.2 popularity. I'll take that. And now here we are at SmackDown, so I'll see you then. In the opening match for SmackDown this week, Shelton Benjamin successfully defends his US title against R-Truth, 74 rated, after Drew McIntyre comes out and attacks Shelton. Moving on, I put Edge in. I forgot he was injured, but they talk about the match between Big Show and Triple H. I guess to LARP a tiny bit, they talk about Edge being out and that Triple H is in the match. Kazarni loses to Mr. Kennedy. Layla and Maurice have a short little match. 62 rated, not great star rating. Abraham Washington interviews MVP about Umaga later tonight. The Great Khali squashes Scotty Goldman because I fucking hate Colt Cabana. MVP and Umaga have their match, and Umaga wins with the splash. The splash is enough to where MVP has to get medical attention. And then in the main event, Triple H vs. Batista, 79 rated. Pretty okay. That's pretty typical for a Triple H match in my opinion. And then Triple H calls out Jeff Hardy for a match at the Rumble since Edge is out. Jeff accepts. And they have a stare down with Jeff holding up the belt and all that. Pretty good show. 74 rated. Not as good as the episode of Raw, but it is what it is. And it seems TNA has offered a contract to for Petey Williams. And we had Explosion here. Lethal Consequences versus the Motor City Machine Guns. Petey versus Eric. Matt Morgan, AJ Styles, and Scott Steiner is fucked up. And then whatever the fuck this is, and apparently Curryman got the win, which is awesome. Alright, 4 days till the Rumble. I'll see you then. And to start us off with the Royal Rumble, CM Punk beats Kane in a 81 rated match, 2 stars. Well, he's made Kane actually pass out with the Anaconda Vice. Kane gets back up, chases Punk out of the arena, and that's that. Santino and Goldust have their match with The Miz and Morrison. Miz and Morrison win. The Miz picking up the pinfall. 82 rated, and Miz and Morrison retain their titles. Drew is then interviewed about his match with Shelton Benjamin for the US title, and Shelton actually comes out with the victory, retaining the US title. Then we have Cena and Batista. Batista actually wins the world title from Cena in an 89 rated match. William Regal retains the IC title in a 74%. Sheamus becomes the new ECW champion in a no DQ match. Chavo has to find a new partner to face the tag champs Carlito and Primo now that MVP's out, and that partner is The Big Show. And Chavo and The Big Show are now tag team champions. Jeff Hardy defeats Triple H for the belt. Or apparently not. Apparently I didn't set it to a title match. That fucking sucks, doesn't it? I'll run it back on SmackDown, it's fine. But then, in the Rumble, CM Punk wins, outlasting 30 other, or technically 29 other men, and then the Great Khali's manager. But men from Raw, SmackDown, and ECW. 83%, 3 stars. No popularity change, and it was an 80% show. So it was fine. It was a serviceable Rumble. Wyndham Rotunda has now entered the wrestling world, which is awesome. me and TNA or I'm beating TNA hugely in pretty much everything outside of Best Skill, and that's fine. New Japan and Noah. New Japan is winning, which is surprising. This is 09 New Japan. However, New Japan is also beating AJPW. Alright. So, shit. Sold 50,000 tickets. And yeah, that's promotional wars. Let's see here. Christian and Sheamus is technically my #1 match of the year so far on ECW, the ECW match, followed by Batista and Cena, the Rumble. Kensuke Sasaki versus Ricky Marvin. That's wild. That rules though. Low-Key versus the Great Sasuke at fucking Wrestle Kingdom. Kensuke Sasaki versus Kenta Kobashi. Minoru Suzuki versus Joe Doering. Adam Cole versus Rich Swann versus Scotty Vortex versus Drake Younger. Jesus fucking Christ. Sheamus hype video. SmackDown hype video. Cena. Batista recap. Punk hype video. Sheamus hype video. And another for men's rest of the year. I am technically promotion of the year. And then what was on Wrestle Kingdom? Taichi and Choshu, Jado and Manabu versus Great Bash Heel, Shinsuke and Yoshihashi versus Mitsuhide Hirasawa. Oh, it's a fatal 4-way. Shinsuke versus Yoshihashi versus Mitsuhide versus Liger. Tanahashi and Kazuchika Okada versus Carl Anderson and Giant Bernard. Okada gets the win. Little baby Okada. Choshu versus Tenzan versus Nagata. Tiger Mask versus Taichi. Can my heart stop falling down? IWGP Junior Tag Titles. No Limit versus Black Tiger and Masato Tanaka versus Takashi Iizuka and Dick Togo, versus Wataru Inoue and Jado. And then an angle with Carl Anderson and Low-Key. IWGP Tag Team Championship match, No Limit versus Apollo 55. Looks like No Limit is now either they are or were the champs. And then the main event for the IWGP Heavyweight title. Wait, that's not even the main event. What the fuck's the main event? Anyways, Keiji Muto versus Hiroki Goto, and Goto is now the champion. The main event is the junior heavyweight belt, Sasuke versus Low-Key. That's fucked up. I love that. Alright, on to Raw. And live from Iowa, Randy Orton and Rey Mysterio open up Raw. However, Orton gets frustrated enough with Mysterio to where he ends the match with a Rage DQ. As he storms to the locker rooms, Stephanie McMahon stops him and asks him what the hell is wrong with him. Orton replies that he doesn't need this and that he should be competing for the world title. The next match is Rosa Mendez versus Melina. Melina gets the win. Then we have a little throwaway 6-man tag between Jericho, JBL, and Noble versus Kofi and the Italian Film Committee. Jericho gets the win over Santino, if I recall correctly. Then Miz and Morrison come out and mock the Italian Film Committee for being such idiots, as they say. Mickey, Michelle, and Phoenix have a triple threat title for the women's title, and Mickie James wins it. She celebrates with her belt. And then Punk comes out, and CM Punk enters the ring as the winner of the 2009 Royal Rumble and begins talking about how much it means to him that he was given this opportunity. Before he puts down the mic, the lights go out, and a burst of flames shoot from the ring posts. Kane crawls out of the ring mat and chokeslams Punk to hell. Then a triple threat between Ziggler, Rhodes, and DiBiase, which Cody wins. And then the main event, John Cena tells Batista that his win last night was nothing more than a fluke, and that he will not be going to Mania with his belt come hell or high water. Batista tells Cena that he will put him in a hospital for life sooner rather than later. So, will they meet at No Way Out? It's possible. 78 rated show, worse than last week, but that's fine. Jimmy Rave signed a contract with TNA. Zach Gibson has entered the wrestling world. How's Ring of Honor doing? Matt Cross versus Jimmy Jacobs, Dean Errico versus the Briscoes, and Danielson and Eddie Edwards versus King of Wrestling. Nice. Then on Noah, we have the Kings of Wrestling against each other. Since Chris Hero and Akihiko versus Claudio and Kanemaru. Bobby Fish and Takeshi Morishima. And Kotaro Suzuki versus Taiji Ishimori, Bison Smith, and Shohei Taniguchi. In the main event, Akira Taue and Kensuke Sasaki versus fucking Takashi Segura and Mohamed Yone. Unfortunately, my boy didn't win, but it is what it is. Alright. Time for ECW and Smackdown. And to start us off on SmackDown, Triple H comes out and says he's pissed, and he tells the audience that Jeff Hardy sneakily made their match at the Royal Rumble a non-title match, says Jeff is a coward and that he can't beat Triple H. Jeff comes out, says, alright, you caught me. However, he will defend the title tonight. Triple H agrees, and their match is made. The Great Khali loses to The Undertaker in an open challenge match. And Khali's manager tries attacking The Undertaker, but gets chokeslammed out of the ring. In a mixed tag match, we have Kizarni and Layla versus Kelly Kelly and Mr. Kennedy. Kelly Kelly wins. And then for the tag titles, we have a number one contenders match between Hawkins and Ryder versus Jesse and Festus, in which Zack Ryder wins. So now they are in position to face Chavo and The Big Show for the belts. Drew McIntyre cuts a promo on Shelton and challenges him to defend his title inside the Elimination Chamber at No Way Out. Umaga has a match with Scotty Goldman that went 4 minutes, and Umaga wins with a splash, and Scotty Goldman has to get medical attention, which is my way of writing him off because I'm firing him because I don't fucking like Colt Cabana. Jeff Hardy hype video. Jeff Hardy and Triple H have their match, a 23-minute match. It results in a draw because they go to I want to say it was either double DQ or double countout. It's one of the two. An enraged Triple H pedigrees Jeff Hardy through the announce table. That lost his popularity. That sucks because I thought that was a pretty decent show. Moving on, what happens? TNA makes contract renewal offer for Lance Archer. I would actually like to get Lance if I can. Begin negotiations. Mid-card. Has him a face, it's fine. Oh, that's fine. And I'll have him as Vance Archer, the way he was in 09. We have a couple more shows to go. No Way Out is in 18 days, so let's hope we can make it there. To start us off with the second week of Raw, before No Way Out, we have a great opener match between Mysterio and Kofi versus Randy and Ziggler, in which Mysterio gets the win by pinning Ziggler. However, Mysterio and Orton begin brawling outside. Moving on, we have Cody versus Shad. Cody wins in a 70% match. Mickey has a little throwaway match against Jillian for the women's title. Beth comes out and says, congratulations on winning last week, but I have a rematch clause, and next week I want to face you for the belt. And Mickey agrees. Then we have the Italian Film Committee versus the team of Jericho and JBL, which I might end up making a full-fledged team, personally. Goldust gets the win after getting a surprise pin on JBL, but Miz and Morrison come out and attack the Italian Film Committee again. Kane has a short little squash match against DiBiase Jr. William Regal cuts a promo on Cody, denouncing his number one contendership and that he isn't worthy of it. And then the main event, Cena and Batista and Shawn Michaels have a match. Cena interferes, giving Shawn the win, and then Cena gets Batista and attitude adjustments him to the mat. Gain 0.3 popularity, 77%. I'll take that. And it says here Jericho returns to action, so he's been on hiatus the whole time, but hiatus pretty much means nothing, so I don't care. So, today is now ECW, and I'll see you for ECW. The Peep Show with Christian, starring his guest, Sheamus, introduces the man he attacked last week, and they already begin arguing, and there's tension in the air that you can feel. Sheamus ends up saying something Christian doesn't like, and they begin brawling. Tiffany storms in and tells them to stop and save their energy for ECW next week, where Sheamus will defend his title in a ladder match against Christian. Sheamus doesn't think this is fair because ladder matches are kind of Christian's specialty, but Tiffany doesn't fucking care. Then we have a squash match where Swagger destroys Hornswoggle, but Dreamer is like, hey, the fuck, and beats him up backstage. Then the main event, we see Finlay and Evan take on Miz and Morrison. Miz and Morrison retain because Santino and Goldust messed up the interference, ended up attacking Finlay and Bourne by mistake, and Morrison is able to get the pin off that. That was not a great ECW show. It's fine. Now we're at SmackDown, so I'll see you for SmackDown. To start us off with SmackDown here, we have Hawkins and Ryder versus Chavo and Big Show, where Chavo and Big Show retain the tag titles. But as they're celebrating, Hawkins and Ryder actually attack them with steel chairs. Then we have Drew McIntyre versus Mr. Kennedy. Drew McIntyre wins, grabs the mic and asks if he has Shelton's attention now. Shelton has not answered him, has not gotten back to him, or anything. R-Truth is then interviewed about his match against Umaga, in which R-Truth is like, I'm not really scared. I can take him on easily. A new stable that I've created called The Design. We have the Brian Kendrick and Vladimir Kozlov with Ezekiel Jackson taking on Primo and Carlito, and the Brian Kendrick wins. The Undertaker is backstage in a boiler room, probably, and cuts a promo on Jeff Hardy, telling him to count his days as champion. Then we see Eve Torres versus Kelly Kelly, in which Kelly Kelly wins. Umaga beats R-Truth. However, the only reason he did was because R-Truth ran out of the ring and ran to the back and got counted out. And then the main event, 90%, The Undertaker beats Triple H. And then Jeff Hardy is on the Titantron, all bandaged up because he's hurt, and essentially makes fun of Triple H for not being able to beat The Undertaker to close out SmackDown. 0.2 popularity, 79%, pretty good. The next up, we have one more week, and the No Way Out. So, I will see you when we get there. To start us off on Raw, CM Punk comes back and cuts a promo on Kane, challenging him to a match in No Way Out, and if Kane wins, he can have his spot at WrestleMania. 82% promo. CM Punk's a really great person on the mic in this save, so having him kind of do all that has been really helpful, I think. And then we have Mickey defeating Beth Phoenix for the women's title. They shake hands after putting on the match of their careers. And then JBL and Jericho have a short little 10-minute match against Crime Time, in which JBL takes home the win. Jericho and JBL cut a promo saying they're not happy that Miz and Morrison stuck their nose in their business last week and challenged them to a tag title match in No Way Out. Stephanie agrees and makes it a triple threat tag match for the tag titles. Kofi defeats Manu in a little throwaway match. Kane agrees to the match in No Way Out. Another little throwaway. Ziggler defeats Jamie Noble. Cody Rhodes is interviewed by Abraham Washington and says that he did not tap and that he is deserving of his title match, whether Regal likes it or not. And then a huge main event, Cena, Orton, Mysterio, and Batista. And Batista wins, pinning Mysterio. Game 0.3 popularity, 80% rated show, pretty solid. And then we have ECW and Smackdown. So, like I always say, I'll see you then. Now for ECW, Swagger and Dreamer. Dreamer wins, 68 rated. I just don't know what to do with these two. I don't really know what to do with ECW. They don't really have much of a roster to deal with. But hopefully I can sort that out after Mania, because I plan on doing a post-Mania draft. Got a Boogeyman hype video, 100%. People fucking loved it, which is crazy. And then we have Sheamus versus Christian for the ECW heavyweight title in a ladder match. However, Christian is being carried away by a stretcher after being hurt severely in the match, leaving us to wonder what to do about Sheamus, because he's clearly not safe. 83%, which is better than both Raw and SmackDown already, which is insane. 0.2 popularity. And now we're at SmackDown. So I will see you for SmackDown. And for the go-home show for SmackDown, Ryder and Hawkins cut a promo on Chavo and Big Show, detailing what went wrong last week and how they plan on righting the wrong and No Way Out. We have an Elimination Chamber 5-way between R-Truth, Mr. Kennedy, Drew McIntyre, Kazarni, and Vladimir Kozlov. And Drew McIntyre wins. Shelton tells Drew that he has his attention, but can he handle the chamber? Umaga beats Ryan Braddock in a minute and hits him with 3 more Samoan slashes, causing Ryan to get stretchered out of the ring. Then the Brian Kendrick beats Gregory Helms with interference from Ezekiel Jackson. And then we have Vladimir Kozlov pulling double duty tonight, having him and Ezekiel beat Carlito and Primo. The Big Show wins via DQ against Zack Ryder, which causes Chavo to chase Zack Ryder backstage, or chasing him away rather. And then to close out SmackDown, we have Triple H and The Undertaker brawling in the locker room. Lost 0.2 popularity, 69%, it's fine. We move on to No Way Out. Check our mail. Primo is now injured, which is not good. He is currently out with a neck injury and will be out. Oh, I just fell back in my chair. My God. He'll be out until September 30th. So, that definitely sucks. So, No Way Out, 4 days away. I'll see you then. And so, in the final match of the night, Shelton Benjamin I keep saying detain. Retains his U.S. title against Kazarny, Drew McIntyre, R-Truth, Mr. Kennedy, and Vladimir Kozlov. Moving on, CM Punk defeats Kane for his spot as Royal Rumble winner. And so CM Punk celebrates that. Morrison and Miz retain their titles, defeating the Italian Film Committee and JBL and Jericho. Triple H and The Undertaker put on a 100% rated match. It was no DQ. In the main event, Batista versus Cena versus Randy Orton versus Mysterio versus Shawn versus Kofi in the Chamber. Batista retains, 93% rated. So that is great. And that was a 86% show, which should be the best one of the year now. Gaining some popularity. We will now have to check. 16K tickets. Still beating TNA. Event histories. Awards and rankings. Best match. Show of the year. No Way Out. Yep. Awesome. That is good to see. We are no longer promotion of the year. It's New Japan, even though we've put on more events. Eddie Kingston is the #1 men's wrestler of the year so far, it seems. But that being said, this is the end of the episode. Thank you for watching. Hope you have a great day or night. Thank you. Goodbye.